We are not going into complete details of data structures, but I would like to just remind that array is a data structure basically. Okay, so now just in order to, I would like to let you know that simply array is a means where you can store your data, like your bag. Okay, like a student bag, like any other suitcase, right, where you hold your data, hold your personal belongings. Okay, right. So how to handle, so once we understand what is an array is a group of data items, group of bunch of data items that are referred by a common name. So how can we do that in fact? So array initialization, everybody knows this, but I would like to just reiterate. Okay, now instead of writing, I tell you int a of, right, a, suppose you write like a b c d e, you need 5 variables. Instead of that, I write int a of 5. Okay, right. So now it means that there are 5 elements. A continuous blocks of memory will be allocated. Okay, and this entire memory block will be referred by a common name called a, right? So in the memory, simply I tell you, in the memory, a continuous memory block will be created. This is memory, suppose, right? A continuous memory block will be created, and that entire block is assigned a name called a. It is like apartment, right? One floor, one complete floor. In the apartment, in the first floor, there will be 10 flats continuously, exactly the same. Okay, right. So flat number 1, right? 0. Here, in general, we begin with 1, but in C, 0 is also has got some meaning in fact. Okay, 0 also has got some meaning in fact. This is the 0th location, first location, second location, third, and fourth. Okay, so this is how we try to manage in fact. So for any, this is called an array where you can hold a collection of data items. Suppose a particular student got 5 subjects, suppose they're in the first year student, suppose. Okay, one student has got 5 subjects, suppose. Okay, so in the internal examination, that fellow has got 17, 20, 22, and again 20, right, and 21. These are the marks, suppose. Okay, now this entire 5 marks will be stored in the respective locations like this. Okay, so make it, let us make it 24, suppose. Okay, the fellow is good enough to get better marks, so 24, right? So 17, 20, 24, 22, 24, and 21, right, are the 5 subjects marks of one single student. Please remember carefully, please understand carefully, right? These 5 subjects marks belong to one student at most. Okay, right. Now this is referred as a of 0th location. This is a of 1. This is a of 2. This is a of 3. This is a of 4. Okay. Now this square braces is called as a subscript. Okay. In the mathematics, if you say set A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, suppose. Now, this 1 refers to A1, 2 refers to A2, 3 refers to A3, 9 refers to A4. So, in mathematics, you call it as A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay. Here in computer science, you call it as A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3. That's it, nothing more than that. Okay, try to understand in simple sense. In mathematics, right, in mathematics you call them a1, a2, a3, a4, right? You write also, your notation will also be like this: a1, a2, a3, a4. Okay, but in computer science your reference will be different. Okay, right, this 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 on according to the mathematics. According to C, these 1 2 3 4, right, are called as indexes, and the index always becomes starts at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right. So this is how an array is referred. Now I tell you, right, this square is called, or this 1, 2, 3, 4 are called as subscripts. They are called as subscripts. Okay, subscript, we call it as an array with one subscript. An array with one subscript. Right? Array with one subscript is known to be, right, one dimensional array. One dimensional array. Okay, right. I tell you, right? Another important aspect here. Try to understand, right? Now in this case, this subscript, an array with one subscript is said to be one-dimensional array. Now imagine, right? I talking about the same example, right? Now I have a student with 5 subjects, and the marks are like this. Already I've told you, okay, that uh, 21 and 25. Okay, one student has got 5 different subjects. Now imagine, for one student you need one array, right? Instead of 5 variables, I've taken a of 5. Now imagine there are 60 in the class. In your class there are 60 students, right? There are 60 students. Now each student has got 5 subjects. Then how do you arrange them? How do you arrange them? Then you need 60 arrays, in fact, isn't it? Are you getting my point? Okay, are you getting my point? Right? One student has got 5 subjects. When one student has got 5 subjects, A of 5 is equal to those 5 subjects. Okay, right. If at all, right, there are 60 in the class, every student has got 5 subjects marks. Okay, so obviously there will be 60 arrays we need, isn't it? Okay, per student, one array. Per student, one array. Obviously, there are 60 in the class. So obviously, right, you are supposed to have, right, how many students there? Then how do you represent that? There are 60 students. Each student has got 5 subjects marks. Okay, right? Each student, there are 60 students. Each student has got 5 subjects marks, right? Now imagine, there are, in the first year, there are 4 sections, suppose. Okay, there are 4 sections, suppose 460s. Okay, then when 4 subjects are there in the in the class, then obviously each section has got 60 students, and each student has got 5 subjects marks, isn't it? Right? Now, so now how can we handle it? Then we need, right, one more subscript variable, Then what I do is int a of, there are 4 sections, each section has got 60, right? Each student has got five subjects. Okay, now like this, in the campus, in your college, there are 4 year students. Okay, there are 4 year students. Then how do you manage that? Okay, now again you can declare like this: a of, there are 4 year students. Okay, each year has got 4 sections. Okay, and each section has got 60, and each student has got 5 subjects. Imagine. Now you might have understood. Right? This is one-dimensional array. This is two-dimensional array. This is three-dimensional array. This is four-dimensional array. Multi-dimension. Okay, more than two. Obviously, it will be certainly four-dimensional array or multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, just try to understand. It's very simple. Most of the students get stuck with 2D. From 2D onwards, most of the students get stuck. Okay, but the thing is, if you understand in simple common sense, then this is simple example. But what we can understand. So you have 1 subject or 1 student with 5 subjects marks. There are 60 students. With each student has got five subjects. There are 4 sections. Each section has got 60, right? And each student has got 5. So one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional, four-dimensional. Now tell me, in that sense, how can we have, suppose there are, right, nearly 280 colleges in JNTU Kakinada. So each year, suppose in every college we consider, and then obviously, right, A of 280 colleges, each college has 4 years. Okay, each what you call year has got 4 sections. Each section has got 60 students. Right? It goes like this. Of course, it is very difficult to handle. Of course, it is very difficult to handle, as a too much memory will get occupied. But what I mean is, but people do not go for, right, 4 dimensions and multi dimensions. They don't go. Hardly they'll be going for, hardly, right, 2 dimensional and 3 dimensional, right? Okay, because as the number of dimensions get increased, then, right, right, then certainly it will be difficult to manage. So number of subscripts will be at most 3. Okay, we can have any number of subscripts, but generally people handle 2-dimensional. People want to make their data, right, less complex, less complex. Okay, right. Now coming to the point. So now you might have understood this is 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional. That's it. Now I'll give you another example so that everything gets cleared. Okay, everything gets cleared. Now the example is like this. Now the example is like this. Now tell me, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? Seems, absolutely. It seems to be a line, in fact. Very good, very good. It's a line, right? Line is made up of dots, isn't it? Line is made up of dots. Line is made up of dots, isn't it? Line is made up of dots, right? Now straight line, absolutely. It seems to be straight line, but I deny that, right? This straight line, these dots, if you assign some values, okay, if you assign some values to these dots, okay, right? Some values, suppose, right, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that becomes a sequence of values. That becomes a sequence of values, a straight line, nothing but array. Absolutely nothing but an array. Nothing more than that. Nothing but an array only. Okay, right. But what I do is I deny that it is a line. Right? You told that it's a straight line. I said that no, it's not a straight line. It's a rectangle box. If I say if it is a rectangle box, do you believe? Certainly not. Certainly not. You said that, sir, it's not a, right? It's not a rectangle. It's a array. It's a straight line. But what I do is, please zoom it. Okay. If you zoom it, right? So if you zoom it, you came to know that it's straight line. And if I zoom it, I came to know that it's a rectangle. It's a rectangle. Okay. Right? So when I zoom it, I came to know that, right? It came to know that it's a rectangle. Okay. Right. Now, if I zoom it, what did I get? I get the other dimension. Okay. I get the other dimension. The dimension is, earlier I have seen only horizontal dimension. Okay. Horizontal dimension. As I zoom it, I could able to see, right, the other dimension also. The other dimension also. That's it. Now I could able to understand that this is a box. Okay, so you have the other dimension. When you have included another dimension, then that becomes absolutely, it's a 2D array. That's it. A straight line is a 1D array, one-dimensional array, because it's only one direction. Okay, one rectangle, right, is a 2-dimension. So 2-dimensional array. Okay, fine. Now coming to the point of, now again I deny that. No. Right? I say that no, it's not at all a rectangle. It is basically a room. It's a cube. I said a cube. Okay. So again, we don't believe that. Right? We don't believe that it's a room. It's a room. Right? It's only, right, a rectangle. I said no. It's not a room. It's a cube. Right? How would I say that? Right. How would I say that? Means I understand that this rectangle is basically actually like this. That's it. Okay, that's it. Now see this, right? Earlier, when I saw that, it seems to be a straight line. Later on, I have added one more dimension to that. Then it has become a rectangle. I added another dimension, then that becomes a cube. Now 3D, multidimensional, absolutely, right? So the dimension is horizontal, vertical, height, right? Height, width, and depth. Height, width, and depth. So I added the third dimension also. When I add the third dimension, that becomes array. Now imagine, right? So it's a straight line. Now this is 1D array, this is 1D, this is 2D, and this is 3D. Okay, right? So one dimensional, two dimensional, multi-dimensional arrays, right? So now try to understand to what extent you can understand, right, the arrays concept. Now I give you another example to understand. To I think it is very clear for you, right? I try to add one more, right, example. Now tell me, what is this? Right, an audio file, isn't it? It can be an audio signal or not. Yeah, you keep on adding any number, right? So is it an audio signal or not? Right, it's an audio signal. An audio signal always seems to be right. Now try to understand, right? If you convert this audio signal, how do you get this signal map? You take the peaks, isn't it? You take the peaks. These peak values you just observe. Okay, you take these peak values. If you take all these peak values, they become 1D array. Yeah, absolutely, amplitude. If you take the amplitude, right, all the amplitude values comprise of one dimensional array. Now tell me, audio file can be a 1D array or not? An audio file can be a 1D array or not? Absolutely. Yes, perfect. Perfect. So in the memory, all the audio files, the basic audio files I'm talking about, the basic audio files will be stored in the form of one-dimensional arrays. Okay, one-dimensional array, sequence of numbers. Right. Now tell me, what about your photograph? Tell me, what about your photograph? Okay, everybody's passport, right? If I say this is your passport photo, okay, right? If you don't zoom, everybody passport photo will be like this only, right? Everybody's passport will be like this only. So if you zoom the passport photo, right, you will be observing, right? You will be observing matrix, right? 2D, that is 2D. Now tell me, every digital photo, okay, every selfie that you have taken will be stored in the form of a 2D array. Now in your mobile, okay, in your laptop, everywhere where graphics works, okay, everywhere there is a concept like arrays. Without array, okay, now your personal passport photo itself is a 2D array, nothing more than that. Okay, it's nothing more than that. Okay, right. So complete graphics, your complete graphics comes under arrays only. So now you can understand that. I just conclude that, okay, arrays are the means to handle, right, your data, your collection of data, bunch of data, your graphics, whatnot. Okay, right. So now I think you better understand, right, how. So the entire images, graphics, your laptop, Windows, entire Windows, Mac, everything is full of, right, one-dimensional and two-dimensional arrays and three-dimensional arrays only. So without them, we cannot handle, right, any program at all. Okay, right. Now let us move on to, right, the program part. Okay, now let us move on to how to declare and how to make use of the arrays. And some basic points before getting into the programs. Some basic points I would like to incorporate. Okay, those points try to recall. Right. So just the properties of arrays. Okay, the properties of arrays. The first one. Okay, index always begins at 0. Index always begins at 0. Then, right, and increments begins at 0 and increments by 1. And increments by 1 every time. And increments by 1 every time. Then There won't be any negative indexes. Obviously, there won't be any negative indexes. Now, next one, right? Now tell me, I give you one simple example. Tell me, what does it mean? I've taken array, simple array. Okay. I have simple array. I've taken one simple array. Okay. How many elements that I can store? Right. Okay. Okay. Minimum how many elements? So 3-4 members have given the right answer. Okay. It is 0 only. 0 only. Okay. Right. This means that, right, int a of 0 means this is the size of the array. Okay. Size of the array. Right. Now the size of the array, if it is 0, it means that there is no element at all. There is no element at all. Like I said, I have 0 money in my pocket. What does it mean? I have 0 money in my pocket. Do I have some money? No. Okay. So I don't have any money. Right. So instead of saying that I don't have any money, right, I said I have 0 money in my pocket. Exactly the same. Int a of 0. So it can never be 0. Please remember, right, the point here, I would like to convey the point that, right, the size should be at least 1. Size should be at least 1. Okay. Without 1, at least the size should be 1. Right. Now, next. Array size always is fixed. Array size is always fixed. Okay. So in P of 10, if I say, so 10 locations will be created. Okay. So even if you do not make use of all the 10 locations, it doesn't bother about. So it'll be waste and waste. That's it. Okay. So there may be a possibility of wastage of memory. Okay. Like I have 7 locations, like suppose I have like locations like this. Okay. 7, 3, 2, 4. I have stored the locations like this. Okay. Now I didn't use these locations, but still it's of mere waste. Okay. Right. So the size as the size is fixed, there may be a wastage of memory. Now, right, the other point to be more precise. Okay. So can we insert an element into array? Okay. Insertion. What about inserting an element into array? Suppose there is an element. Okay. 7, 3, 2, 9, 4. Okay. Can I insert any more? Can I insert any more? No. So I cannot, because I don't have enough space. Okay. I don't have enough space. Now, can I insert? Absolutely. Now I can insert because there is at least one location is empty. Okay. But the problem here is, if at all you want to insert an element in between, then you are suppose you want to insert a new element 15. Okay. New element 15 here. Okay. Now the 9 should be shifted. The 2 should be shifted. The 3 should be shifted here. Okay. Right. So unless you shift the elements, right? Unless you shift the elements, you cannot insert. So insertions, right, are difficult to perform. Because why it is difficult? Because in order to insert one element, you are supposed to shift all the elements. Okay, shift all the elements. Suppose there are 100 elements. Suppose there are 100 elements. Okay, you want to insert element 15 at a 20th position. Okay, at a 20th position. Now tell me what happens. Okay, right. You are supposed to shift 79 elements towards right. Okay, so it's a difficult task, right? So insertions are difficult to perform in the array. Then what about deletion? Right, absolutely. What about deletion? What about deletion? Right, if at all I want to delete an element from the list, right, then the deletions are always, right, cannot be performed. deletion cannot be performed. Cannot be performed in the sense, right? No physical removal, in fact. Okay, it means that no physical removal of the location. Okay, okay, there is no physical removal of the elements like this. I'll give you one simple example, like, okay, 24, 3, 9, 8, 6, 15. Now I want to remove 9. I want to remove 9. Okay, what happens is this 8 will be shifted towards left, 6 will be shifted, and 15 will be shifted. Okay, then the resultant array will be like this. Interestingly, the resultant array will be like this. Now what happened actually? 9 is removed, but 15 is there in the both the locations. See this. See this. 15 is there in the both the locations. It means that you are not shifting the element. In fact, you are copying the elements. Okay, you're copying the elements because the size of the array, as we mentioned, the size of the array is fixed. So it means that you cannot remove the location. Okay, you cannot remove the location. Physical removal of any location is not possible. Only the elements can be shifted towards the left in order to delete the element. Okay, right, fine. So these are the basic points to be remembered. Okay, so index always should begin at 0. Size should be at least 1. Array size is fixed. Insertions are difficult to perform. Deletions cannot be performed. And that means that no physical removal of elements. Okay, I don't say that no element is removed. Okay, we can remove the element, but no physical removal of the element location. Okay, it's not possible. Now, another important aspect you are supposed to understand, okay, before getting into the problems, right? So the basic set of operations, you create a list, create, okay, create array. You create an array, right? You initialize the array. Okay, later on, you try to insert a new element. Okay, later on, you may try to delete one element from the list. Okay, then, right, you may go for another important operation, search. You may go for sort. Okay, so there are plenty of other operations are there. Please mind this. These two are the basic operations, most essential operations, okay, on arrays. Okay, because when you have more data, then you try to attempt more search process. Okay, more search process. So without, when as the data is growing, searching will be difficult, isn't it? When you have too many books in the library, obviously, right, it will be difficult to search for a particular element, isn't it? Right. So search and sort, right, are the most important aspects, right? So because unless again, so why do you go for sort, right? In order to make the search process easy. Please mind this. Please mind this. Why do we sort? Sort means arranging elements. Arranging elements. Okay. Search means arranging elements in order, isn't it? Why do you arrange elements in the order? Just in order to make the search process easy. That's it. Okay. It's not that, okay, search is different, sort is different. In fact, in order to make your search process easy, you go for sort. Okay, there are plenty of sorting techniques are there, but still, right, the search process will be made easy only when your sort process is done. Okay, so why do we go for searching all the time? Because every day we search, isn't it? In Google we search. Okay, for book, whenever exams come, examination comes, right, we start searching for books. Okay, so every time we search, we keep on search. Okay, so searching is a continuous process. So in order to make our search process easy, then we go for sort. Okay, so for in case of arrays, why do we talk about more sortings and more search? Means, so because in computer science itself, not only in arrays, in entire computer science, right, searching and sorting play a vital role. Okay, we are supposed to be right, comfortable, right, in while searching, right, while searching, right. So in order to make our search process easy, we'll go for sorting. Now, now, right. So now consider a simple array, right? Another simple point. Just sometimes I may go minute details also, because maybe maybe some of you are first year students, they may be stuck up, held up with some points. That's why I go a bit what you call, right, lenient details also, trivial details also I would like to give. Okay, suppose there is an array like this. Okay, there are 5 elements. Okay, there are 5 elements, right? Now these 5 elements, right, are taken in general, tell me, for any for array, for any array, we take the help of for loop. Why? Whenever you start processing arrays, you start processing for loop. Why? Reason being, reason being, right? Always, because you know the number of elements here. Absolutely. Somebody's mentioned the finite number of elements. Absolutely. So as the finite number of elements are there, you might be knowing that zeroth location, first location, third location, fourth location. Suppose an array with n elements, okay, there will be 0 to n minus 1 elements. Okay, so always there will be 0 to n minus 1 elements only. So you know the starting value and you know the ending value. Whenever you know the starting and ending values, obviously you you're supposed to use array only. Okay, array only, right? So that's the reason why most of the, even some students get confused that why do we go for loop for arrays. The only reason is, as elements are fixed in size, for that matter you are going to use the array concept or the for loop concept for arrays. Now, so for all index values, right, so it resembles I, right? Now I just want to print, right, there are 5 elements in the list. The index always begins at 0, okay, and ends at 5, right, I plus plus, right. I just print percentage each element, okay, each element, array ith position, a of I. Okay, right. Now this is how we try to manage simple arrays. Now tell me, what if I have, right, I want to have, right, something that is data that is not fixed, right? So what should I do here? If at all I want to go for dynamic size of the array, I don't want to fix the size of the array, a of 5, a of 20, a of 50. Okay, right? How do I manage? So here 50 locations are fixed, 20 locations are fixed, 5 locations are fixed. But how do I manage these locations in fact? Okay, if at all the size of the array, right, I don't want to fix, then what should I do? Then I should do somewhat like this. Then I go for, right, dynamic memory management. When you do not know, okay, dynamic memory management. Okay, so dynamic memory management, right, it means that the parallelly I would like to give you both the issues. So there are 5 elements. Okay, I have 5 elements that is fixed. Okay, sometimes I don't know the size of the array, what size I should kept. Okay, I don't know. Okay, then I'll go for dynamic memory allocation. Okay, dynamic memory allocation means it is a process of allocating and deallocating the memory at runtime. There are plenty of points to be discussed, in fact. Okay, right. So allocating and deallocating the memory at runtime is the most important point. Okay. So in general, what happens is when you mention the statement like this, automatically the memory will be allocated for a particular array. Okay. Then array of an array of 5 locations will be created automatically, even if you don't make use of it. Okay, sometimes most of the occasions we don't want to waste the memory. Okay, earlier when C was evolved, memory was very expensive at that time. For that matter, they want to make use of the memory at optimum use. They want to optimize the memory, in fact. So how do they do? They do it by means of dynamic memory management. I would like to give you one simple, right, concept like this. Suppose this is your memory allocated for your program, suppose. Right? Now this memory has got 2 partitions. Okay, right? This is heap area. This is called as heap area. Right? And this is non-heap area. This is heap area, this is non-heap area. Here, what we do is, here, right, initialized data. Here, uninitialized data. Will be kept. Okay. For memory, right? Initialized and uninitialized memory areas are available there. Now I'll give you one simple example. When you start writing a program, I said int a of 5 and int b. Okay. Now in case of int b, the b is kept in this memory area. A is kept in this memory area. Okay. A is kept in this memory area. Right? Reason being, this is initialized, this is not initialized. We don't, means that B doesn't have any value. A has got some value. So in a program, when the memory is created, A is stored in this place, B is stored in this place. What about this memory? This memory is meant for dynamic memory management. Okay. This area is not at all under the control of the user. Okay, it is in the control of the system. Okay, so here you can allocate the memory, but you cannot deallocate the memory. Okay, in this area is not in the control of the user. This area is under the control of the system. But this area, this heap area, right, is under the control of the user. Okay, now whatever the dynamic memory management you perform, right, that is done in this area. Heap is the memory area. Here you can allocate the memory and deallocate the memory. That means, right. So this area always this area will be, right, completely under the control of the user. That's the reason why people used to have, right? So dynamic memory management, when people don't know that, then there is no, right, a fixed amount of data. So voluminous data is coming, then people start working on, right? So making use of dynamic memory management. Okay, so heap is the memory area where dynamic memory management takes place. Now, for this array, how would I manage? Right? For this array, this is static allocation, right? How do I do the fixed allocation? So fixed allocation can be done, as somebody has already mentioned, right? So in the chat box, somebody is mentioning the malloc and realloc and calloc functions. So calloc, right, realloc, and free or the memory location are the functions. Okay, are there in the stdlib.h. Okay, are there in the stdlib.h. Memory. I try to understand the behavior of the syntax of the malloc function. Right? Malloc, allocate, malloc, memory allocate cheyali. Entaki, there are 5 integers, suppose. Okay, and each integer occupies 2 bytes, suppose. I can allocate like this. Or malloc 5 elements. If I do not know the size of the array, so size of the integer, if you do not size of int. Okay, so malloc 5 into size of integer. Now tell me what happens is the malloc is a function. Malloc is a function meant for allocating the memory. Now this malloc function, how it allocates the memory? So 5 into 2 bytes. Each integer occupies 2 bytes. So in the memory, right? So all the locations are there. Each location will be having addresses. Okay. So where there is a memory, there will be addresses, isn't it? Right? So you might be knowing that. But in the memory, wherever certain data is there, data is always have some address. So at least take it granted, any data that is there in the memory will have address. Any data that is there in the memory will have the address. Okay, fine. Now this address will be manipulated right here. Now this malloc function, try to understand. This malloc function, right, completely allocates 5 into size of 10 integer size, 5 into 2, suppose 2 bytes of integer. So 10 bytes will be allocated, and where it has allocated, that is in the heap. Okay, so that address will be returned. That address will be returned, right? So where do you store the address? Addresses can only be stored in the pointers. Okay, so addresses can only be stored in the pointers. For that reason, you are supposed to make use of the pointers concept. Why dynamic memory allocation requires pointers means because memory allocation function always returns the address. Okay, so when it returns the address, right, where do you store that address? In a pointer. Okay, in a pointer, right? So here there is a small problem, right? How it allocates, that is another point here, right? So int star a, because it is allocating memory for integer array, right? Now how it allocates? Some interesting point here. Okay, right. The memory will be allocated like this. Okay, the memory is allocated like this. Do you need memory allocation like this for the array or like this? This is memory 1, this is memory 2. Okay, which one is correct? Which one is correct? Memory allocation, right? You need like this or like this? You always like this. Okay, but with this statement, the memory is allocated like this. Okay, memory is allocated like this. Memory will be created dynamically on the spot. On the spot, memory allocation will be done, right? But we require this model, not this model. Okay, right. So for that matter, you want to convert this memory into this form. Okay, memory is there, but the memory is not partitioned like this. Okay, you are expecting that your memory should be partitioned like this, but it seems like this. Okay, right. For that matter, right, what I do is I just make the sentence, I just change the sentence like this. A is equal to, is the first one, this is the second one. A is equal to int star malloc 5 into 2. Okay, int star 5 into 2. Now you can find the difference. Okay, if you write like this, memory allocation will be like this. If you write like this, the memory allocation will be like this. Now tell me, how do you prefer? Now what is the difference here? What is the difference here? What is this actually? This is a typecasting. This is called typecasting. So you are typecasting the memory into integer pointer. Right, right. Reason being, the memory, when you allocate the memory, it is like a, right, I give you an apartment without any partitions. I'll give you one simple example. Right, you purchased an apartment where there is no partitions. You have given 1100 SFT. completely, one single floor, okay, without any partition, no bedroom partition, no hall partition, no kitchen partition, without any partitions, a complete empty 1200 SFT apartment is given to you. Is that okay? Is that okay? No. Okay, no. What do you need? In fact, you need with complete partitions, isn't it? So you are supposed to convert that 1200 SFT into partitions. Absolutely. For that matter, in order to create those partitions, right, you just write like this. If I write, try to understand. If I write, now make it a point. This, I give you example. Now, how much memory is there actually? How much memory is there? Suppose there are, I just have 10 suppose. Okay, so 10 into 2 suppose. When I said 10 into 2, 20 bytes are allocated. 10 into 2, 20 bytes are allocated. 20 bytes. Now this entire memory is of 20 bytes. Now, how many partitions you need? Please try to understand. Okay, though it is theoretical, once you understand this, you can apply everywhere. You need 10 partitions. Okay, have you mentioned anywhere? Have you mentioned anywhere? If I write like this, now tell me. You mentioned that you need 20 bytes. You mentioned that 20 bytes. That's it. You mentioned that 20 bytes. Now these 20 bytes, you are thinking that that is 10 integers. But I may think that these 20 bytes, 5 floats. 5 floats. Float means 4 bytes. 5 into 4, 20 bytes. I can store 5 floats also. I can store 20 characters also. Isn't it? 5 long integers also I can store out of these 20 bytes. Right now, for what you're using? Okay, you have created memory for 10 integers. Okay, when you mention 10 integers, then you just convert that memory address. Address means pointer. That's why I mentioned pointer. Address means pointer. So that's why I mentioned I want to typecast it, convert it. Typecasting means conversion. Conversion of one data, one type into another type. Okay, so conversion of this memory into the address into pointer, that too of integer type. Why integer type? I want to have 10 integers. Okay, if at all I want to have 20 characters, then I mention. That's it. Okay, then I write here character type. Okay, right. If at all I want to have long integer, long int. That's it. Did you get my point? Right. If at all I want to have float, 5 floats, float star. I think now you got the point. Now you got the point. Okay. So the memory is there, right? Absolutely. The star is meant for address. Okay. Addresses are always can be converted into. So malloc returns the address, not the value. Malloc is a function, returns the address of the memory. Okay. Right. Address of the memory. Right. And the address means pointer. And that too, that pointer related to the type of the data. So float star or integer star or character star, that depends on your choice. If you want to allocate memory for character array, mention char. If you want to create the other data, then go for the thing. Okay, so this is how you try to calculate all the data members. This is how you calculate all the data members, right? So the point here is whenever you create memory allocations and all, based on the memory allocation, the size of the memory, you just mention, right, like this. It's all like the same thing can be written like this. I give you one simple example here. Just say this. With this, we can move on to next one. Okay, right. I can write, if I write like this, I have an integer pointer, float pointer, character pointer. Okay, now this is int star, a is equal to, b is equal to float star, malloc 10 into 2. Okay, right? C is equal to character star malloc 10 into 2. Okay, means 20. So means 20, suppose 20 bytes and suppose 20 straight away you can have 20. You can have 20. Okay, right. So now in this case, it means that the same 20 bytes can be allocated for integer array. The same 20 bytes can be allocated for float array. Say the same 20 bytes can be allocated for character array. Okay. So in case of this, array will be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So 10. All the 10 locations. Okay. In case of B, now tell me how many? Only 5. Okay. But in case of character, just see the difference. See the difference. Okay. The same 20 bytes of memory has got different approaches. Okay. So in case of integer array is like this with 10 elements. The same if I write float star, okay, then the array will be like this. Okay. If I write character star for the same 20 bytes, okay, then the array looks like this. It's all depends on the size that you mentioned, the conversion type that you mentioned. Now you might have got a, why do I mention this? Int star, float star, character star. Even of course double. If at all double gopher, then memory may not be sufficient. Double 8 bytes that is. Okay, got it. Okay, now just think of if somebody is in second year and third year and fourth year students. Okay, now right, try to recall. Try to recall. In case of linked list, in case of linked list, okay, you mention like this. In case of linked list, malloc, okay, suppose 10 bytes, okay, you write like this. You write like this. Size of node, right? Struct node star malloc a is equal to, isn't it? Did you ever write like this? Did you ever write like this? Yes. Tell me, why did you mention struct node star? Why did you write struct node star malloc? Before malloc, if you write int star, that will be integer array. Before malloc, float star, that is float array. Okay. Malloc character star, character array. Okay. Now malloc struct node, that's a node structure. Node structure pointer that will be converted into node structure pointer. You want to convert the memory into node. The same memory, you will be converted into node. That's it. For that reason, nodes will be created by means of malloc. There's only reason. Because linked list is a dynamic memory management model. So obviously it will be using. Okay. I think you got the point. Okay. And please remember, why did I mention during the arrays, I straight away spoke about the dynamic memory management. Reason being, always, whenever you take an online test on using arrays, go for dynamic memory management. Go for dynamic memory management. Okay. Right? Allocate the memory dynamically. Don't allocate straight away array like this. Don't never ever start writing array like this. Okay. Don't write this. Always use dynamic memory management. Otherwise, your programs will never ever get executed. For any online test, go for dynamic memory management only. Array size should be declare array. Okay. I'll give you one simple example for that. Create array like this. I start beginning here. Right. Int main. Suppose I want to have n elements. Array is int star a. Now ask for printf enter size. Okay, scanf %d ampersand n. Okay, now allocate n elements. Now, what should I write? A is equal to int star malloc size of int into n. Okay, A is equal to int star malloc size of int into n. I need n elements of size integer. Okay, I need n elements of size integer, allocate the memory and convert it into integer pointer. That's it. Okay, from now how can I access those locations? Okay, how do I do that? Right? Right. Now, memory allocation is over. For this, the 10 locations of n locations of 0, 1, 2, 3 up to n minus 1. N locations of memory will be created automatically. Now, I take the elements into that. This is array A. Okay. Now, in order to access take the elements. Okay. Printf enter elements. Now, for I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Now, what should I write here? Okay, that's what we try to start. Okay, try to understand. This is what we try to understand right now. Okay, please mind this. Now, so when you start writing, I'll give you one simple example. I write an example before finishing this sentence. Before finishing this sentence, I would like to ask one question. I have a program int a is equal to 5. Okay, int a is equal to 5. Now, I said I call a function called increment. Okay, otherwise I call a function called add a. Okay, add a. Then I said printf a. Okay. A. Okay. Right. Now see this. In the add function, a is equal to a plus 100. Now tell me what is the answer for this program. Very simple program, but try to analyze, but a lot to think here. 105, 105, 5, 105, 106. Oh, 110. Very good. Oh, fine. Right. Here the value is absolutely. Here the value remains 5. The value is 5 only. Reason being, we didn't return any value, isn't it? I think I'm clear. I haven't returned any value. That's why when I send a variable to the function, the point here is when I send a variable to a function as argument, only the copy of the variable will be forwarded, but not the variable. When the copy is added 100, okay, the original remains the same. When you come back to the main, a remains 5. As long as this function is execution, the value is 105. The value of a is 105. When it gets back, the value remains 5 because it is called by value. Now I make a small change here for this program. Okay, I make a small change. What is that change? Oh, I again, as I'm supposed to write again, because the board is not sufficient. Right. Now tell me. int a of 4 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Add a. Okay. Add a. Then for I is equal to 0, I less than 4, I plus plus, printf percentage d a of I. Okay. I wrote the function like this. Right. Now in this case of add function, int a of 4, again int I, for I is equal to 0, I less than 4, I plus plus. Okay, a of I is equal to a of I plus 100. Now tell me what is the result. Here, what is the difference between these two programs? In this program, add is a function which is taking one value. Here, the same add function, the same add function, the same add function is taking a group of values. Okay, a group of values. Here in this case, it is taking one value. Yeah, somebody is mentioning already. Now, what is the result of this program? Right. Here, the result will be 101, 102, 103, 104. The output is 103, 102, 104. Okay, group of values. Right. Now, did we return anything here? No, we haven't returned anything. Here also we haven't returned anything. Okay, but still this is called by value. This is called by reference. Called by reference. Reason being, it means that always a group of values, right, always takes the address. Please mind this. When you pass an array, I make a statement. When you pass array as argument, it means that you are sending the address. Okay. Without your knowledge, you are sending address. Okay. Here add a means you are sending the address, not add. Okay. Here you are sending a copy of a, but not a. Okay. So copy of a will be forwarded here. Here the address of the array will be forwarded. Without your knowledge, the function takes the address of the array. So please mind this. Whenever you are taking the help of 1D array, 2D array, or a string, okay, anything, right, you consider for that matter. For all the things, right, well, the thing is simply you are manipulating indirectly addresses. Okay, so without our knowledge, we are sending addresses. So that's the reason when you send the address, automatically, right, any reflection that is made here, okay, that has got some value here, right? So every trivial operation that is performed in this function will be reflecting in the calling function. This is called function. This is calling function. The called function always reflects the calling function in case of address. Okay, so it means that you are sending address only. Now coming back to the location, right? Coming back to the data. Okay, so what should I do? Earlier, the same program. There are the elements like this. Okay, this is dynamic array, right? How many elements that we need? Earlier, I would like to continue the same program. Enter n, scanf percentage d ampersand n only. Okay, now I need a is equal to int star malloc size of int into 2. This is how memory is created. And for that matter of accepting elements, enter values. For I is equal to 0, I less than n I plus plus, scanf, I can write, okay, a plus I. I can write a plus I. A plus I. Right? Now, what does it mean actually? A means the base address. A means the base address. From the base address, ith position. Okay, from the base address, ith position element. I need ith position element. That's what the meaning of the sentence. Okay, from 8th position, ith address. Okay, from the base address. So A is the base address. It means that whenever there is an array, this is 100 address, suppose. The next element will be at 102. The next element will be 104, 106, 108, 110. Okay. Now A means this. To be more precise, the base address. A has got 100. That's it. Okay. Now from 100 address, right? 100 to suppose I value is 3. 100 plus 3. From the 100 address, third element. Okay. So 100 plus 3 means it's not 103. Okay. This is 100 plus 2 into 3. Okay. It is 100 plus 2 into 3. This is 100 plus 2 into 3. Okay. So 100 plus 2 into 3 means that is 106. Right. So 106 means 5. Please try to understand. Okay. You might be understanding this. I hope. Right. So 0 to all the elements are like this. The base address, when you assign the base address like this, A is equal to like this, then A is equal to that 100 will be allocated, not the entire array. From 8th position, right? So ith element, 8th position to ith element. Each element can be accessed from that point of view only. Okay, from that point of view only. Then later on, you can just manipulate. Once you got the elements like this, see, for all online tests on arrays, your array position, array declaration should be like this. Okay. Right? The point here is, so array locations are like this. You can manipulate each and every element dynamically like this. Use this notation. Please use this notation, right? For integer arrays, online classes. Okay, that's it. Now coming to the point of, right? Is it okay? I think I'm clear. Right? Dynamic memory management. And how can we do that? Means this is how. Of course. So as the time doesn't permit, right? I'm just a bit hurry. Okay. So I would like to go some problems also. Okay. We try to experiment some problems. Right. Okay, fine. So in case of character arrays or in case of integer arrays, use dynamic memory management in the same approach. Okay. Right. Okay, fine. Now the point here is, now let us go for implementing some programs on arrays. Like I have an array like this. Right. Suppose there is an array like this. Okay. I just want to remove all the duplicate elements. Okay. I just want to remove all the duplicate elements. I just want to remove all the duplicate elements from the list. How would I do that? Okay, most of the problems you might have gone through, right? But here I would like to do something like the problem related to removing duplicate elements. This is one of the important questions generally most of the people ask. Okay, right. There are this is the input, suppose. I expect the output like 7, 3, 2, 8. That's it. Okay. I want to have elements like this. How would I do it? Do that. Okay. Removing the duplicate elements from the list. Okay. Right. In order to remove the duplicate elements, right. So duplicate elements have been removed here. If somebody asks you a question like, how do you remove duplicate elements? Okay, this is most of the commonly asked question, and it is related to this problem. Why I have taken this problem is most of the problems related to, right, technical questions. They ask you about the duplication of elements. Okay, so manipulation of data manipulation especially. Okay, right. So for that matter, how can we do this? How do we remove these elements? How do we remove duplicate elements? So for this, right, I would like to share some code for this. How can we solve? Right. So here, how do you know that a particular element is duplicate? You are supposed to compare it. Okay, you are supposed to compare it. So 7, 3, 7, 3, 7, 8, suppose. Okay, now this 7 will be compared with 3. Then again, this 7 will be compared with 7. Now you came to know that there is a duplicate element. Now what should I do? What should I do? Shift the rest of the elements towards left. Shift the rest of the elements towards left. As I said, deletion. It's almost like deletion of the element. Now I shift all the elements towards left. That means 7, 3. Shift all the elements. These 3 elements are shifted. So 3, 7, 8. Okay. Now again, I just compare this with this. Okay. Again, shift the remaining elements towards left. So 7, 3, 3, 8. Okay. Right. Now again, the first element is over. The first element is over. I just have done it. The first element is over. Now go for the second element. I take the second element. I start comparing with the second element. So 7, 3, 3, 8. Now 7, 3 with the remaining. Now there's a duplicate element. So shift these 2 elements towards left. So 7. There are no more elements towards right after 8. Okay. See this. Now is it okay? Just see the. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. This, what I did, I have compared every other element, right, with the base element. Okay. The first element with all the rest of the element. Again, the first with all the rest of the element. Again with all the rest. Now finally, I got the last. The last element will be 8. Of course. I already told you, we cannot physically remove any element. Okay, that's for sure. Okay, right. So the rest of the locations we try to ignore. That's what happens in arrays. Okay, that's what happens in arrays. We cannot go for the rest of the elements. We ignore the rest of the elements here. Okay, so how can we do this? So how can we implement, right? No. In case of regular arrays concept, we try to, right, avoid duplicate elements like this only. Okay, right. So the logic, how can I implement the logic for this? How can I implement the logic for this? So straight away go for in a particular way. Like suppose I am straight away writing the main logic here. For I is equal to 0, suppose there are n elements in the list. Okay, there are n elements in the list. For I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Now tell me, you are comparing every element with the rest of the elements. Now I tell you, How many elements are there? There are 6 elements. So there are 6 elements means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, isn't it? Now these are the elements will be compared with the rest of the elements. Rest of the elements means 0 after with the rest of the elements means rest of the locations will be like this. Okay, for 1, the rest of the locations will be this. For 2, rest of the locations will be this. For 3, rest of the locations. For 4, rest of the location. For 5, there is no rest of the locations. Okay, right. Okay, right. Now I start comparing with the rest of the locations. Every element. Now 0th element will be compared with the rest of the locations. First element will be compared with the rest of the locations. Second element will be rest of the locations. Third, fourth, and fifth. So all the elements will be compared with the rest of the elements. So this is what we do. Now this is the rest of the locations. Assume that is J. Okay, that is J. Identify the rest of the locations as the second variable J. Now for J begin set, that means when I is equal to 0, rest of the elements, so see this, when 0 is there, the rest of the elements begins at 1. When I is 1, rest of the elements begins at 2. When 2 is there, rest of the elements begins at 3. It means that when I, right, absolutely, when I is the actual element, rest of the elements begins at I plus 1. J less than n, but I don't write J plus plus here. Reason being, I don't write J plus plus here because I don't know whether the element is duplicate element or not. Without duplicate element, but how can I increment? I cannot increment. Okay, so I later on when duplicate element is removed, then I go for the next element. Okay, so for that, what I do is I just leave J plus plus here. Please see this. I didn't write J plus plus because J plus plus will be written afterwards. Okay, now you are supposed to compare I with J, I with J, I with all J. Please try to understand. I with all the J, right? If A of I, right, or A of J is equal to A of I. If it matches, okay, if it matches, then what do? It means it's a duplicate element. It means it's a duplicate element. Then what do? What I said to you, 7, 3 doesn't match. 7, 7 match. When 7, 7 matches, okay, then rest of the elements will be shifted. Rest of the elements will be shifted. Now, how do you say move the rest of the elements? Rest of the elements means this is J. Rest of the elements means J plus 1 from J plus 1 onwards. So, for K is equal to J plus 1, K less than N, okay, K less than N, K plus plus, okay. Now, rest of the elements will be shifted towards left, okay. It means that you are overwriting it. As I said, you overwrite. 7 will be overwritten by 3. This 7 will be, right? This 3 will be overwritten by 7. This 7 will be overwritten by 8. That's how we do. We shift the positions. It's not really physical removal. Okay. As I said, in arrays, physical removal is not possible. Okay. So instead what you do, you just, now the shifting is done, right? చూడండి ఈ పొజిషన్ లోకి K is equal to A of K plus 1. Okay, this is what the shifting. When the shifting takes place, now you understand that, okay, out of n elements, one element is removed indirectly. Indirectly, the element is removed. Okay, when the shifting takes place, one element is overwritten. It means that one element is removed. Now, out of n elements, how many elements are there right now? How many elements are there right now? Yeah, of course, perfect. Yeah, of course, perfect. K is equal to J. Very good. Very good observation. Right. How many elements are remaining? N minus 1. That means you are supposed to reduce one element, right, out of n. For that, what I do is I just close this n minus minus. Okay, n minus minus. Then I close the if. So if j is equal to I, when there is a duplicate element, then I go for all these things, all these shifting process. If not, if it doesn't match, 7, 3 doesn't match, then I go for the next element. Next element means next j. Now I go for j plus plus. Okay, now I go for j plus plus. That means if not, else j plus plus. Okay, that's it. I close the loop. I close this inner for loop. I close this outer for loop. There ends the matter. Okay, this is what the main logic for this. So removing duplicate elements, how do you remove duplicate elements, right? So this is most frequently asked questions. Okay, technical problems. Okay, I repeat once. There are 6 elements. I want to remove the duplicate elements. So in order to identify the duplicate elements, right, and we do not know the exact locations of duplicate elements, what I do is I just compare every element with all the remaining elements. Every element with all the remaining. Okay, so this element with all the remaining, this element with all the remaining, this element with all the remaining. That's how I keep on removing the elements. Okay, right. So this, in order to compare, when a of j is equal to a of I, then obviously there will be shifting. So this is meant for shifting. This is shifting. If match, shift. If doesn't match, go for the next element. Go for the now I tell you. If at all you want to manage this program, right, in dynamic memory management, okay, somebody is asking, sir, how can we convert this data into dynamic memory management? Okay, this array into dynamic memory management. Just replace a of I with star of a plus I. Enough. Wherever you find a of j, replace this star of a plus j. Okay. Wherever you find a of k, replace with star of a plus k. Then obviously it becomes dynamic memory management program. Of course, before this, the memory allocation, I wrote the actual logic only. Okay, I didn't mention the dynamic memory management. Already I've told you earlier. Okay, so now the point is, so what does it mean actually? What does it mean? A plus I means the address. Okay, a plus I means the address. Star of a plus I means value at the address. That's it. Okay, star of a plus I means value at the address. So a plus I means, so in case of scanf, why j plus plus is placed there, right? Okay, somebody is asking why j plus plus is mentioned here. See, when a of j is equal to a of I doesn't match, suppose this is failed, where do you go? If that means there is no duplicate element, then go for the, so next comparison will come only when j is incremented. So for that matter, in the else part I wrote j plus plus. If it matches, then shift. If it doesn't match, go for the next element. So how do you go to the next element? By incrementing the value of j. That's it. Okay, so incrementing the value of j is only meant for, right. So somebody is asking for n minus minus. Now, when you remove one duplicate element out of n elements, one element is removed, then obviously there will be n minus 1 elements only. Now reduce the number. So n total, there are 7 elements. Suppose earlier example we have 7 elements. Okay, 3 duplicates are there. So when you remove 3 duplicates, n becomes only 4 elements. That's it. Okay, that's how we manage. That's how we manage. Okay, please try to understand. And of course, if you run this logic, then it is certainly you'll understand. Okay, so please run this code. Right, so you note it somewhere. Okay, and just try to run. When you run it, you'll get to know. Okay, right. Where to place exactly the code? Right. Very good, very good. Now where to place this code? Right. For that matter, you start implementing int main, take the array elements star a, how many elements, I, j, k, okay, right? Accept the, already I've written the code for this just before this program actually, okay? Before this program, I entered the code. Already dynamic memory management has been done, right? A is equal to int star malloc. So all the stuff is over. Then you continue this code. Okay. Just continue this code. Later on at the end, okay, after this, okay, print the data, print array. That's it. Close the program. Okay. I have written the main logic here. Main logic. Before that, you are supposed to accept the data into array. Okay, initialize the array dynamically. That's what you are supposed to do. Okay, fine. Now what I do is I just go for the next one. Right. So even it happens even in the sorting also. The same is the case even with the sorting also. Okay, when you want to sort the elements, I just remove this. Right. I just remove this. Even in case of sorting also, you get the same. Okay, suppose when you want to sort data like 73945. Okay, now what you do, you just compare this element with all the rest of the elements. Okay, then this element with rest of the elements, compare it and swap it. Sort means arranging, isn't it? Arranging the elements in a particular order. Okay, arranging the elements in the particular order. So how do you arrange unless you compare? So you are supposed to compare. Now, where to begin? Now, these are the positions, suppose. Okay, 0th element will be compared with 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 with compared with 2, 3, 4. 2 will be compared with 3, 4. 3 will be compared with 4 positions using index locations. Now, I tell you blind, you can even remember it blindly. Tell me, what is this? Is it a pattern model or not? Seems to be pattern model or not? When pattern model is there, how many loops require? How many loops we require? 2 loops. That means for sorting, for any sorting, how many loops we need? How many loops we need? 2 loops. Okay, 2 loops we need. Okay, somebody is saying 3, 4. Randomly they are typing. Okay, right. So here, when pattern is there, for this kind of patterns, okay, this kind of patterns, see, forget about the space towards right side. If the pattern is like this, then you can talk about this. This is extra space. Okay, so right side space, forget about. Need not to go for. Okay, we need 2 loops. So for any sorting technique, we need 2 loops for that matter. Okay, so how do you do that? You also do the same. Okay, I start comparing 0, 1, 2, 3. 0th element will be compared with 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 element will be compared with 2, 3, 4. 2 element will be compared with 3, 4. Okay, so you can compare the positions like this. Now tell me, how can I write this? The main logic for sorting for 0th element to till the last element. Okay, till the last element. I compare with The rest of the positions, these rest of the positions are nothing but J. These positions are nothing but I. Okay. These positions are nothing but I. These positions are nothing but J. Okay. I will be compared with the J. That's it. So J is equal to, when I is 0, J starts at 1. When I is 1, J starts at 2. When I is 2, J starts at 3. It means I plus 1. J less than N, J plus plus. Now what do? You just compare ith element with the jth position. Okay. If A of I, element at ith position, is greater than element at jth position, okay, element at jth position, then swap. That's it. There is the matter. It's pretty easy to remember also, sorting. Okay, right. So swap means take a temporary variable. A of 5 will be copied. A of I to A of J, and A of J into the temporary variable. That's it. Of course, temp or C, any variable. I think you got the point. Okay. Very good. Very good. The swap. Perfect. Okay. So swap can be done like this. So sorting is simply, it's a matter of writing two loops. How do I write loops? Is the same manner. Okay. Right. This is how. See, I try to just touch upon every other concept that is linked to pointers and arrays and all, and how the arrays are being used. Okay, fine. Now let us move on to strings. Okay, let us move on to strings. Okay, let us move on to strings, because as the time is going on, right, we'll go for, right, touching one simple problem, one problem on, right, arrays also. Right. Strings. Okay. Okay, right. So a string is a sequence of character data. A string is a sequence of character data. Okay. Terminated by a null character. Okay. Where null is an indication of end of the string. String is over, end of the string. Null is an indication for end of the string. Okay. End of the string. Fine. Null is an indication for end of the string. A string is a sequence of character data terminated by a null. Now, please remember, right? A string can be a word. A string can be a name. A string can be a sentence. A string can be a paragraph. Okay. A string can be a word. A string can be a name. A string can be a sentence. A string can be a paragraph. Now, why people concentrate more on paragraphs, what you call sentences, words, and right? Why do people focus on strings? Because strings are the most essential part of today's process, today's computer science. Any computer science data, for that matter, today, as of now, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about C only. As of now, any data will be handled in the form of strings only. Okay. Ultimately, when it is presented to the user, here two aspects: the developer aspect, right? User aspect. The developer handles data in different formats. Again, I tell you, developer means the programmer, the person who writes the program. The person who writes the program handles data in his own way, in different formats. integer, character, float, double, long double, string, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, the user will always understand, will always be represented the data in the form of string, unless, right, unless and until it is an data, maybe audio file, maybe video file, a different story. But rest of the entire data will be handled in the form of strings only. That's the reason why strings are so important. Students are tested on strings. Okay, tested on strings. Reason being, the strings are always powerful. Okay, for that matter, I give you another simple example. Think about Google. Think about Google. Okay, what exactly Google is doing? Google is simply searching for the words or sentences given by the user. Yes or no? Right? Then there is a company called Google. There's a big company called Google, which is simply every day it is searching for words and strings and sentences. That's it. It means that a Google-like company is simply focused on strings. So for that matter, if I handle strings, then it will be easy for me. Okay. Even the company Google itself is focusing on strings. Okay. What about myself and you? You. So always, so that's the only reason why strings are so important. In every day, we Google something. We try to Google something. That means we enter some words, we enter some sentences, we enter some paragraphs, we enter some names, we try to search. It means string-based search is going on, isn't it? That's the reason why strings are so important. Why people talk about it, right? More strings means this is what the reason. Okay, strings are most essential part. And the other aspect is always the end user will see the string, the data in the form of string. Okay, these two are the reasons why the strings are so important. Now, so a string can be a word, string can be a name, string can be a sentence, string can be a paragraph. And every word or name or sentence or paragraph will always be terminated by a null character. Okay, right. Now, so how these strings are represented? Now you can even find the difference. Now tell me, this is a number. What is this? This is a character. What is this? It's a string, isn't it? 5 is a number, 5 is a character, 5 is a string. Even if it is one letter, even if it is one letter, it is enclosed in quotes, automatically that becomes a string. Okay, right. Now, so representation is what more important here, right? So strings are represented in a different way, right? Character S of 10 is equal to, I said, Ramesh. Okay, Ramesh, right? That's it. So S of 10 is equal to Ramesh means obviously it takes 10 locations. Okay, right? This Ramesh is kept stored in the memory, and at the end, a null character will automatically get inserted. What about this? This will be wasted. That memory is wasted. Okay, right. So size is 10, but the number of elements are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 only. Only 6 locations are there. Okay, right. So with this six locations only, I can be able to, right, handle. So always remember, even if the size is 100, we can't help it. Even if the size is 100, we can't help it. Okay, so the locations will be wasted, right? So this is how a string is manipulated. Now, see, strings, how can we write the program for this? So as we know that there is an ending for the string, for every string. Okay, you begin at 0 till the null character, 0 to null. Okay, you keep on accepting every other character, you keep on manipulating every other character. Okay, from 0 to null, from 0 to null. Please remember this, right? So I write, for that matter, I do not know the exact number of locations here. So till I found the null, I keep on continuing. I begin here, it's not null, not null, not null, not null, not null, not null, null. That means string is over. This is how we manipulate. Okay, so we begin at 0 till we get a null. So for that, what we do is I is equal to 0 means we begin at 0. Okay, while, okay, suppose the string is yes, suppose, okay, s of I means s of I means r. S of I means r is not null, a is not null, m is not null, e is not null. So for that, s of I not null. Okay, I just keep on printing that null, printing that letter, percentage. What should I write here? Am I printing a string or am I printing a character? No, no. Am I printing a string or am I printing a character? I'm taking letter by letter here. One letter at a time. One letter at a time. When one letter at a time is there, then percentage C only. Okay, percentage C. Okay, then I go for I plus plus. I plus plus. Okay, so I equal to 5. It starts at 0 till I found null. I print every other character and just go for I plus plus. Now, if I mention backslash n here, okay, then the result will be like this. Isn't it? The result will be like this. Got it? So this is how we try to manipulate our strings. Now, so based on these strings, okay, we have plenty of string character, string handling functions, plenty of string handling functions. Okay, so in order to handle string handling functions, strlen, strcpy, okay, strcmp, str, okay, str, what rev. There are plenty of functions are there. Now, within just in order to write string handling functions, I would like to just what you call combine all together the strings and pointers into one single concept. Okay, we will see that. Okay, so for that matter, what I do is I take a simple example. I want to copy. I just want to copy. Okay, I want to copy one string into another without using strcpy. Okay, of course, strlwr. Okay, right. So strcpy, without using strcpy, I want to copy one string into another. So how would I do that? Let us do it by means of pointers also. Let's say it at a stretch. Okay, character s of 20, p of 20. There are two strings. Now I have a string in s. Suppose you can write them directly, straight away. S of 20 is equal to, right, computer is a string. Okay, computer is a string. Now I want to copy that string into P. Let us take the help of pointers here. Okay, let us take the help of pointers here, right? So for that matter, we need to have two pointers. Okay, two pointers. What are they? Let us take two pointers, X and Y. Two pointers. Okay, X is holding the address of first string starting address. Okay, Y is holding the address of a second string starting address. Okay, second string starting address. Okay, X is equal to, X is a pointer which holds the address of first string. Y is a pointer which holds the address of second string. Okay, now I start copying one string into another from the address S to X to Y. Now, whenever you want to do it, you just write C O M P U T E R. And of course, at last we have null. Okay, at last we have null. Right? From 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now I want to copy this S into P. Okay, this letter into here, this letter into here, this letter into here. This is how I want to copy actually. Okay, right. So your copying begins at 0th position. Okay, ends at null, right? So I start the same. Now tell me, what do you mean by x and star x? What is the difference between x and star x? Okay, right? Now, while x means the address, star x means the value at the address. Okay, the value at the address x is not equal to null. Okay, I just copy star x into star y. Okay, star x into address. Star x means value at the address. Okay, so I just want to copy the value at the address x into y. Okay, then I just copy c into here. Now this is x, this is y. Okay, now next x will be copied into next y. Okay, the next address, next element at the next address will be copied into next position of the y. So for that, x plus plus and y plus plus. It means that you move on to next address. X will be moved on to the next address. Y will be moved here. Okay, and just this loop will be repeated for quite a number of times until it reaches null, isn't it? Right. Finally, so when it reaches null, it copies all the characters, okay, till R, right? So when you come out, everything will be copied till the last letter, but not null. But not null. Remember, but not null. So at last, you are supposed to copy, okay, the null also at the end. Okay. Once you finish the job, okay, printf the string y. Printf the string y. Now this time you are printing entire string. That's it. Finally, you just conclude. Finally, you print the string null. Here I am writing printf percentage yes p. That's it. Okay. I think, right. See this? You have taken the base address, the starting address into x, the starting address of the second string into y. Now, from the beginning of the first letter till the null, you keep on copying letter by letter. Okay. Once one letter is copied, then go for the next address. Once the another letter is copied, move to the next address. So you keep on doing the same process till you reach the null. Okay. So this is what the string copying by means of a null pointers, using the pointers also. Okay. So I think I'm running short of time. Okay. So I would like to conclude here itself. Right. So and finally, I would like to, so maybe I'm concluding here. Thank you guys. So as the time is not sufficient for me, right, to go through each and every topic, the sessions are a 3-day session only, right? So we're able to, I tried a maximum of my level best, and hope you understand, hope you got some points, also hope you got some knowledge. Okay. So thank you for bearing with me. Okay, for all 2 hours for the last 3 days. Right? Thank you one and all. If you got any doubt, you can ask right now. You can ask right now. Sir?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, participants, if you have any doubts, you can post your doubts in the chat box so that your doubts will be clarified right now. So, shall we take a couple of minutes for their doubts? Shall we wait for
yes,
doubts?
Sir. Sure, sir. Sure,
okay.
Sir. No problem.
Okay, sir. Okay. Let's see if they post any doubts so that
Okay, sir. No problem.
Okay. Right.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Guys, if you got any doubts, you can ask me. Of course, please mind this. C is an ocean. Okay. So within short time, we cannot finish every other concept. So I've planned some more problems also, but I could not finish it off. Okay. So some problems maybe some other time, right? I just focus on as the concepts are over, right? So some more problems I can detail. Yeah, some of the problems and their solutions and how the problems are being addressed. So I'll be forwarding some material to your faculty members, right? So they'll be sharing to you.
Yeah, we'll do that definitely, sir. I don't think nobody is asking questions. Okay, fine, sir. Very nice session. Really, very beautiful tips, and majority of the students gets benefited by this event.
Okay,
Such
sir. Thank
such
you.
a beautiful programming tips, and definitely, students will get benefited while facing interviews also.
Okay, sir.
It's a
Thank you.
really wonderful session, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now let's say our principal, sir, he wants to address a few words regarding this.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, one and all. Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
On behalf of Bihar Institute of Engineering and Technology, I thank one and all for your kind cooperation for a 3-day webinar on working with C programming, sir. So we have successfully completed this 3-day webinar. In this regard, I thank you, sir,
Thank you,
as
sir.
a resource person. Our resource person is from VBIT College of Engineering, Guntur.
Yes, sir.
Professor P.R. Krishna Prasad Garu, for your great efforts to our students, sir. Sir, you have done all the things related to our title, working with C programming.
Yes, sir.
You had started with a very slow session, a cool takeoff, introducing all the concepts of C programming, and you're taken to the peaks of the C language. And you have done multiple programs, and you have done some projects also in this 3 days of time. It's a very great pleasure for all of us, myself, my students, as well as the students of Bhimavaram, in and around Bhimavaram. It's very kind of you, sir, to share.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
This kind of.
I would like to thank all the participants first because
yes, sir.
preparing 2 hours for 3 days online is very difficult task actually.
The thing is, it's not like a virtual class. It's just like a natural class. The doubts the students are asking and the way you're expressing your or clarifying their doubts is very extraordinary. And I don't think it's a virtual class. It's just like a normal class. And we expect more webinars from your side. And I really thank our Suresh Garu, the professor from your institution, for arranging you as a resource person. I thank him, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And I also thank my faculty members who are involved in this webinar, and the management members, all my management members who had given us a free hand to conduct these kind of webinars from our institution. And I finally thank all the students who have involved, and whatever they are asking, like we are all these videos have been recorded, sir, and we'll upload them into the YouTube.
Okay.
And we'll place the link to all the students.
Thank you.
And moreover, the certificates also will be generated automatically, and we'll give them the certificates. I hope it's not a certificate-based webinar.
Yes.
I think it's all the students have got. Myself, these 3 days participated in your webinar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I really enjoyed your session with a very slow motive, and you have taken all the concepts of C
Yes,
with a very short period of time. The same webinar I had attended, not a webinar, seminar I had attended in Vizag, which is given by Yashwant Kanetkar. And let us
Oh,
see,
wonderful.
rather, the same feeling I had got
Thank
from
you, sir.
your.
Thank you.
I
Thank you for
really,
your words.
I really appreciate, and we are lucky enough, students as
Thank
well
you.
as the
Thank you,
other
sir.
participants are lucky enough to have such a great person like you.
Thank
And
you,
hope
So,
we'll have many more
definitely, sir.
webinars. Right.
తప్పకుండా తప్పకుండా సార్ సార్ in this
Sure.
regard I would like to thank you personally and
Thank
Bhaskar
you, sir.
garu and the
Yes,
management
sir.
member for giving the opportunity and the team
Thank you.
behind this webinar and the
Yeah.
participants last but not least. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good,
Thank you.
Good day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I leave, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Hi. Yeah. Thank you, participants. Yeah, small announcement for the participants. Feedback is posted. Feedback link is posted. So it is mandatory. All of you have to submit your feedback. These are activated. Okay. All artists are requested to submit the feedback to get certificates. Okay. Feedback is mandatory. Okay. Finally, on behalf of staff, I thank management principal for the arrangement for them. On behalf of management for participants, thanks once again. Thank you. And certificate. Don't worry about maximum 1 week of to submit your feedback. Okay, feedback will be activated till 6 o'clock in the evening. Thank you very much.